What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot, we're going to be taking a look at Revenant's Umbral Danse build. I just like saying the word dance like that. Dance! Now, you can pick up Revenant's blueprints once you've reached rank 2 with the quills. Head on over to Nakak and Cetus and go ahead and pick up the Mask of the Lost One. Equip that onto your operator and then go ahead and follow the quest from there. If you guys want a full-on walkthrough, I will go ahead and link yesterday's video in the card. However, if you don't want to deal with any of that, you can always hit up the market and pick him up pre-built along with a Warframe slot and a catalyst for 325 plat. Also be aware that he is available in the Revenant collection, which has an armor set for you, an armor set for your kitty, as well as the new Phantasma shotgun, all for 640. Now, before we jump into the build, we're going to be taking a look at each of his abilities individually, what mods make them tick, and exactly how they synergize with the rest of his kit. We're going to start things off with his passive. Shield Depletion smashes nearby enemies with a knockdown shockwave. Now, this one is actually pretty handy. It sounds lame straight out of the gate, but to be completely honest with you, what really keeps Revenant alive is his Mesmer skin. So what happens is when his Mesmer skin runs out and an enemy is taking a pot shot at him, what he'll do is he'll pulse out that big shockwave, knock enemies down, and you'll be able to recast that Mesmer skin. Sure, it's not as cool as the lifesteal idea that they had to begin with, but this definitely synergizes a little bit better with this kit. Alrighty, now Revenant's first ability is Enthrall, and this shares synergies with basically every other ability in his kit. As you enthrall an enemy, it'll actually turn into a thrall and fight for you. As it strikes other enemies, it will go ahead and turn them into thralls as well. Now, your thrall count is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and as you can see right here, enemy thralls or your thralls are actually susceptible to your own attacks, to ally attacks, and to enemy attacks. When a thrall dies, they actually leave a pillar of sentient energy that will burn any enemies that walk through it. Now, this is affected by damage mods, range mods, and duration mods. At its base, it is 12 seconds. It's not listed in the UI, but I did go ahead and time it out. So I counted to 12. So maybe if it's only 11 or 10, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a fast counter. I don't know. But basically, that's what it boils down to at its core. You'll be using this ability a lot more. When I first started playing Revenant, I did not quite know, like, I couldn't get into his jive until I learned it's all about those big pillars. Just focus on as many pillars as you possibly can. Now, Revenant's next ability is Mesmer Skin, and as you can see down there at the bottom corner of the screen, it's got 10 charges currently with this build. Now, any enemy that strikes you will have some of the damage redirected back to them, and they will be stunned for duration. The stun duration is based on duration mods, and the number of charges is based on your power strength. Now, the synergy that it has with Thrall is basically what ends up happening is enemies, you can actually get a free charge of Thrall on enemies that are stunned. See, I did not consume any energy for that Thrall whatsoever. This is a big core to keeping him alive, and like I had stated earlier with his passive, works really well together because as soon as your shield's down, enemies are all knocked down, and then boom, you can go ahead and recast your Mesmer skin. So definitely be sure that you're paying attention to the amount of charges you have, so you can keep yourself alive. Alrighty, so Revenant's next ability is called Reve, and basically, it allows you to turn into a wall of sentient energy and leech the life from your enemies. Now, keep in mind that this is all percentage based. It says 40% on the thing, which, to be honest with you, as you can see right here, does not feel very much like 40%. In fact, I've been doing some testing on it, and it seems like on an unthralled enemy, you're only going to be sucking up 68 points of life. You can see I've actually written it on my hand right here, which kind of sucks. It's not very much at all. However, so as you can see, we're at 514 right there. With an enemy that is thralled, go ahead and do that, and go ahead and wall through them. As you can see, we are absolutely full up. We've done more damage to that guy as well, and I think that that maybe is where the 40% lies. And from my testing, it goes into from 68, you know, on an unthralled target to 339 per thralled target. So that's definitely a nice health restore. So make sure that when you're using Reve, that you use it on something that is thralled, because clearly it's not very worth it if you are not using it on a thralled target and you're trying to get a little bit of health. Let's see if I can take a little bit of a hit there. One other thing that I want to point out is, even though, you know, my what to call this, my shields are restoring themselves. Let me try to lose some shields right there. From what I've noticed, you can't actually regain any shields from any enemy that does not have shielding. So I went ahead and tried this on like a shield MOA, and I was actually able to restore health and shields at the same time. However, you know, kind of as you can see in this case, I'll have him knock off some shields. The little shield boost that you see there is actually from a part of the build. I do have an auger mod in there, which kind of helps restore it. So you can't get shields back from an enemy with no shields. One other thing that I do want to point out with this ability is you can actually cancel it early. So let me go ahead and do like a full cast. So this is a full cast. You go on for quite a while. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can actually go ahead and cancel it early by hitting the ability again. So that way you're not like dashing uncontrollably all over the place. Alrighty, so Revenant's last and final ability is Danse Macabre. So as you can see right here, you basically turn into a spinning laser of death. You can go ahead and hold down your left mouse button to actually increase the range and damage. So I'm not holding it, now I am holding it. So you can see it gets a boost of damage and a boost of range whenever you go ahead and do that. Now it does have some interaction with thralls, and it has some really interesting interactions when it comes to different enemy types. So let me go ahead and let's cover the thrall thing first and foremost. So as you can see right there, we have a thrall, and he's spreading his good old thralldom to the rest of the bunch. Now we can go ahead and use Danse Macabre real fast on him. Go ahead and burn it down. And let's see if, oh, do they not? Nope, they do have the drops. Okay, perfect. Right, they do have the drops. I'm seeing the drops. I'm getting the drops. As you can see, my overshields have increased exponentially, and that's because they do have those kind of like sentient energy orb things that will allow you and allies to pick them up to get extra shields, which is definitely nice. It gives you more time to go ahead and recast your what is it called, your mesmer skin. Now I'm gonna go ahead and swap things up a little bit real quick, and I'm gonna show you exactly one of the cool things about it is that as you take damage, because you will take damage in this ability, keep that in mind, you're not immune to it. What you could do is I'm gonna bring up a corrupted ancient right here, and we'll go ahead and take a look at how the damage kind of feels straight out of the gate. So on its own, we're not gonna click left, but it's about 2.1k, but as you can see there, after he hit me, we're doing about 3,000 points of damage, right? And then it kind of slowly faded off to like a 2.6k. So I don't know if there's like a kind of like degradation on the damage, but as you do take damage, you will get more damage output, which is definitely nice. Let's take a closer look at that one more time, because I don't think that it was very visually appealing. So as you can see, 2.1k, 2.1k, then he hits me, and it's like 3Ks, and then it goes up to 2.8k. You see right there, you're getting more damage whenever they give you a nice little whack, which is nice, you know? Getting whacked off isn't necessarily a bad thing, you guys. The other thing that I do want to kind of go along with that is I'm going to go ahead and toss Mesmer Skin on as well to show you guys that the damage will work even if it is with Mesmer Skin. So we saw 2.1k. Let's see him give me a whack. Come on, hit me. As you can see right there, and I have depleted down, you can see down in my Mesmer Skin, it's down to 9. And we started doing 2.9k to him. So all of the damage, even if it's absorbed by Mesmer Skin, you will be fine and dandy. We'll be able to deal that to other enemies, which is nice. The other feature, which is very cool about this, I wonder if I could get like a little mixed bag, is when we were up against the corrupted ancient, we started doing gas damage because it hit infested flesh, right? So what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna go ahead and swap things up just a little bit, and we're gonna go against a Bombard, one of our favorites, Mr. Billy right here. So we're gonna go ahead and simulate that. I've still got my Mesmer Skin on. Let's go ahead and grab some energy real quick, and as you can see, because of the fact that we're taking on an armored target, we've got some corrosive procs going on. Now, when you go ahead and increase the damage output of it by hitting left click, you also increase the status chance. So you can actually strip off armor fairly well with this thing. Now, am I going to say it's the fastest thing ever and it's going to be like, you know, you're going to be able to murder enemies? I won't say that for super high level enemies. Now, for everything in the star chart, oh, this thing is going to massacre because of the fact that it can actually adapt. So let me get rid of that bombard real quick. Well, let's pull up one of the MOAs, and you'll actually go ahead and see how this adapts to a MOA. Actually, let's, you know, we'll do a little mix bag. We'll do a little mix bag. We'll do a little bit of both. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and grab a bombard real quick. We'll just keep it to 2 so that you guys can see it fairly easily. It's not going to be something that's going to be too difficult to spot. So as you can see right here, oh, we got 2 MOAs. So you can see we're doing some magnetic damage there. We're doing some corrosive damage over there. It's a nice, really cool adaptable ability. And because of the fact that it's able to adapt, the awesome thing about it is the fact that you'll be able to take advantage of some of the damage bonuses that come from it, which is absolutely amazing. Now let's go ahead and put everything together. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves like 20 corrupted bombards and see exactly how this all plays out. Let's do like corrupted bombards. Let's do like 10. Let's do like 10 of them, and then let's go ahead and do like 10 of the heavy gunners. Let's just mix it up a little bit, you know. We're not going to do any invincibility of any sort. Actually, we should probably reset this real fast so that I can get a fresh cast of Mesmer Skin going on. So let's hit that with the 2. And now let's make some friends. Literally, let's make some friends. Now we're gonna go ahead and give a little bit of a spin to win. As you can see here, we are shredding the armor straight out of the gate, which is definitely very nice. We've got the Mesmer Skin going, which will stun enemies, which is absolutely fantastic, and also allow you to absorb some of that damage and redirect it back at the enemies. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and grab a couple pickups real quick. Let's toss on a little bit of an enthrall there, cause a little bit of a ruckus, and get our little spin to win on. And go ahead and start working away at these enemy defenses. Now at the same time, I'm keeping an eye out on my Mesmer Skin, because bitch, if you don't, you gonna die. That's just a thing. You need to pay attention to it. So I've got 1 charge left. It says 0, but that actually means that that's like the last charge. Don't ask me why it like works that way, but that's what it is. And as you can see, basically I'm just dancing around. I'm just dancing around, and my thralls are spreading. So it's nice. Oh, Mesmer Skin is down. Let's go ahead and turn that back on and get back into it. And I think everything else is dead that is opposing. I think it's just me and my friends now. I think it's just me and my friends, or my ex-friends. There you go. You're no longer enthralled. So boom. And that's pretty much the gameplay when it comes down to it. And the cool thing is, you see, look at these. Look at these little sentient orbs. They match your energy color. Isn't that so freaking cute? So when we talk about the fact that it deals a good chunk of damage, it's not a good chunk of damage right away, but because of the fact that we have a boosted status chance to it, when you do left click it, definitely helps you eat away at the enemy armor or deal more damage to whatever you're facing. One of the most interesting abilities that we've seen so far, and I wonder if DE will actually go ahead and play around with that for other frames. Now, as for the build, as you can see, we are using the Umbral mods, Umbral Intensify for a little bit of a boost in damage, and Umbral Vitality to give them a little bit more strength. You'll also notice that I'm using Prime Continuity. That's the only duration mod that I have in there, and I feel like it works just fine. When it comes down to the kind of energy management efficiency portion, we have Streamline and Primed Flow. I've also paired this up with Arcane Energizes. Now, I didn't want to go ahead and use Fleeting Expertise, mainly because of the fact that it is going to kill the duration on some of the other abilities, and I really didn't want to do that, so I just kind of left it as is. When it comes to the aura, honestly, he came with a dash polarity, so I'm like, fucking toss Energy Siphon in there. If you guys want to go ahead and put a corrosive projection, feel free. That is completely your prerogative. Now, the part for me that is kind of like I guess you would say the most interesting is Power Drift, Stretch, Augur Reach. That's really where the kind of like deciding factor was. Now, I went ahead and looked at it, and the range I really wanted to boost up because I found as I played more with Revenant, I was using a kind of like pillar strategy. I wanted to kind of like put all of these pillars, these sentient pillars, into choke points and have those like eat away into enemies. So I definitely wanted some range, and I definitely wanted some strength as well. Now, as you can see, Prime Continuity is the only duration mod that I put in. And that will actually boost the pillars up to, I believe, like about 20 seconds. Again, you know, I used manual counts for this, so it's gonna be a little bit flexible. But it boosted the pillars duration for 20 seconds. I went ahead and tossed in an Augur message to see if that would increase it that much more, and it was really only like 2 seconds, so I was like, no, I'm good, we're not going to use that one, we're just going to leave it at Prime Continuity. Now, when it comes to power strength, the reason that I didn't invest that much more into power strength is because when I used Umbral Intensify, my initial intent was I was going to use Umbral Intensify and Augur Secrets. But when I looked at it, the main reason that I was trying to boost it up was because I wanted more charges for the Mesmer skin. Now, Augur Secrets didn't get me past the 10-point mark. I think it was like 10.7 something. And I tried it out, and unfortunately, DE was not kind enough to round up. So it just left me with 10 charges. Well, Umbral Intensify with Power Drift gives you 10 charges as well. So I'm like, fuck it. Let's just go ahead and use Umbral Intensify and Power Drift, and then put in Stretch and Augur Reach, because that gives you about I think it's either 3.2 or 3.5 to the area of effect of the pillars. And one of the big strategies that I adopted was that I was going to be stacking all of these energy pillars. I'm just going to have lots of thralls come through, thrall enemies, and basically just pillar them all, so that they create this kind of area of effect damage zone. And that's exactly how I felt like he was the strongest, was leaving these pillars down at choke points, clearing things out with Danse Macabre, and staying the fuck alive with Mesmer Skin. I'll be honest, I like never used Reve. I never had an issue to use Reve because all of the enemies were dying at choke points or being stunned by Mesmer Skin. So for me, Reve was just a little bit like, well, I can't really mod you much anyway. Reve is pretty much set at 40%, at 40% absorption, and the only thing that you really do it is like the duration of the dash. So I was like, well, not gonna invest in that. So this is what I found to work for me. If you guys want to rebalance it a little bit to maybe get more range, feel free to do so. Or if you want to change it completely, I mean, it's your build, this is my build, so don't hate on me because this is what I'm enjoying, and trust me, it's pretty good fun. So I'll actually go ahead and we'll jump into a little bit of gameplay, and I'll give you some tips and tricks. Okay, so now we can finally dish about my feelings on Revenant and give you guys some pointers in my playstyle, which may not be a great playstyle. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was actually playing around with him, and for the first like 2 or 3 Forma, I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? I was like, I am not into this whatsoever. Like, am I missing something? Because like, I just feel like I'm doing Danse Macabre all over the place, and that's the only the only thing I really have to add into the groups. The thralls died so quickly when I was playing with other, when I was playing with other people, that literally the thralls didn't have the time to kind of like spread to create a whole bunch of other thralls. And I was like, okay, so my thralls are like dying instantly, so they're of like no use to me. Enemies die so quick that really if they're getting triggered by Mesmer Skin, it's not like they're dealing that much damage to me in the first place. So I was like, okay, like, I'm having a moment. This is not fun. However, as I started playing, I went ahead and tried out different like mission types, and one of my favorites, of course, as you guys know, is Kuva Survival. So I was in there at Kuva Survival, and I realized that what he's really good at is I would like run off, like, here would be like the Kuva tower. So I would go ahead and find pathing, like this enemy is coming from this way and this group of enemies is coming from this way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss down a thrall at that side, and then I'm going to go ahead and Danse Macabre this side, just clean that area up. by the time the thrall has like spread to other thralls, you know, I'll go ahead and rush that area again, clean them all up with another Danse Macabre, get some more extra shields going on with those little sentient orb drops, and now I've got pillars at that area. So I've got these pillars that are going to go ahead and take care of more enemies that come from that area. So I'm going to go to this area, toss down a thrall there, and I'm going to let them duke it out, clean it up after I've got a couple thralls in that area, or pay attention to anything that's been hit by my Mesmer skin and get some free charges, so that I can continuously stack pillar upon pillar upon pillar. Literally, what I'm looking to do is to turn the battlefield into like a field of sentient energy, where any enemies that come through are either being burned alive by the pillars, because the pillars actually deal a decent amount of damage. I think at like its base it was like 1k something of damage per second for any enemies who are standing in there. So I'm like, that's actually not terrible and a cool feature. But I really got stuck initially with this whole thought process of, oh, Revenant is control, Revenant is a control frame, and after seeing it in action, I was like, his control ain't all that great a control. Like, ooh, you can stun enemies that hit you, but what about the enemies who don't give a fuck about you? And by the way, I do need to chime in on this, because I did not say this in the part of the video. Grenades. Some grenades will just bypass your Mesmer skin completely and you just die. You know, explosions from, bombard rockets, they seem cool, at least from the ones that I've taken. They seem absolutely cool, but you know, grenades, for some reason, just, you're dead. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, but I just didn't feel like his control was really all that great, and then I realized you use his control to control points. It's weird because he's like a damage control frame and not in the traditional sense. It's like you're controlling by outputting damage, but you're outputting damage by locking down points with your thralls, and then you're killing the thralls to create these points that will like kill enemies as they walk into it. It's weird. He's weird. Do I like him? I like him a little bit better now that I've kind of like locked down that playstyle with him, because originally when I was like leveling up, I was just like fucking Danse Macabre all over the place. That's all I fucking do. But to be able to kind of like control one area using your sentient pillars, and then another area clearing them out using your Danse Macabre, it's totally fine. It feels good-ish. Definitely not my favorite frame in game. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if you feel like I'm using him wrong in any way, shape, or form, please let me know, because I literally sat there on the phone with Rio late last night, and I was like, I was talking to a couple other friends who I'm like, am I missing something? Is there like, there can't be missing anything else. But I'm just sharing with you how I had fun playing with him. So maybe try out that playstyle if you're feeling a little blasé about him as well. Go ahead and give that a shot, or leave down in the comments below if maybe I missed something. Maybe there's like a super cool, insane thing that I missed. Because right now, the way that I'm playing him is just like turn everything into a field of sentient fire. But that does about it for me for now, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!